Hello again, America. John Christopher McInerney. Mac, back with you. Part 3. We're going to go right through this and recap this. For everybody that was interested in this news board, we're going to zero in on it right now. The end of Part 2, if you didn't see it, we weren't able to really zero in on this thing. It didn't come out well enough. I thought when it expanded out to a full screen, you'd be able to read it, but it's too hard to read. So let's zero in on that thing right now. If you missed it, you haven't been following along, what we're trying to do here is present things to our candidates that haven't been discussed or discussed well enough. We've got 45 days until this election, and we're going to use every one of those 45 days to push to get as much done for us, not them, as we can. We've got to unite, we've got to come together. We've got to end the divide. Right off the bat, I just like to say, all lives matter. Can we do that? All lives matter. If you're flying one of those signs, then I'm standing with you. Anything else can't do it. We cannot be divided. We have to come together. The thing that nobody realizes and nobody's really willing to talk about is the fact that they learned that by dividing us with race or with any other area, at the end of the election, that somehow equals Democratic votes. That is one of the lowest, and I do mean lowest, ways to win an election. They should be focused on the best direction for us, the most accomplishment for us. That's what we're working on. That's what we're doing here today. But please, allow me a few minutes. I'm just going to zero in on this. Bear with me. I'm going to fumble the camera a little bit. It's okay. Let's just get this shown so you can enjoy it at your leisure. You'll notice some paper clips on it. Those paper clips are a few spots that I'm just going to touch on before we move on. I'm also going to zoom back in on the boards, the economic boards, so we can understand the monies I was talking about, the graphs and charts, so you can have a really good chance so nobody misses out on seeing what was on there. But let's get started by taking a look at this. If you missed part 1 and 2, this is a combination of news that was taken starting in 2013 to 2014 and a little into 2015. And what this does for us is it gives us the vibe. Because without the vibe, without knowing what's been going on, how can we ever make a good decision when it comes to what we're talking about and who we want to vote for? A lot of stories on that IRS board. A lot of stories. Veterans, a lot of you out there. Remember I told you? There was no one more than I taking news notes about what was going on with you. Well, there are those news notes. I was with you, standing with each and every one of you. We're going to be reaching out. We're going to be addressing some of our disabled today. But I want to reassure you, if you're genuinely disabled, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. But there are some serious abuses going on. I'm going to touch on one of those paper clips. Students. I was with you. A lot of those stories on there. I was capturing that vibe. They weren't fooling me. Maybe you feel that people weren't listening out there, but Mac all the way over in Massachusetts was listening. How about our non-citizens? Remember I talked about that citizenship study? It's right there for you. If you want to take a look at it, it's right there. There's those scary numbers I was talking about. Christian faith. I didn't have much time to discuss that in part 1 and 2 because there's so much to discuss. But there are a lot of stories I was able to capture, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So many agencies within the government, and when we don't have an unbiased administration, those agencies become the henchmen, as I referred to during our part 1 and 2. That's how they're able to hurt us. And let's not forget about these taxes. But we're going to zero in on this, because this is how they put us to sleep. You see, they know that if they do it in the first year or two, chances are, many years later, when it's time for the election, we've forgotten all about that. Well, they didn't slip it by me, and I'm hoping, really hoping out there, do you take the time to look at that? There's an awful lot of talk right now about making corporations pay their fair share. Well, all you got to do is look at that news board, and that's already happened. So many stories. Can't possibly touch on all of them today. But by looking through this, give you a real good chance. A lot of teeth in that Obamacare, if you're interested. A lot of things you'd never imagine ended up in that one. Let's not forget about our Congress. You know, we don't take time to focus on them too much. We don't know how. We put them up in there hoping that they are going to be unbiased, that they are going to be truly looking out for the people. And what I see, and mostly coming out of the Democratic Party, is divide. Strong divide. And it's been happening for a long time. Let's get up to our State Department for a minute. A lot of people out there should be interested in that one, because Hillary appears there a few times. We'll touch on that when we come back. Our Department of Justice. Oh, I touched on it mildly the other day. We're going to touch on it some more today, just to really get an appreciation for what's happening. And that empty Supreme Court, Now we're going to fill that blank in too. Now I was able to capture all this in 45 minutes to an hour in the morning before I headed out to work. Let's take a good look at those state sheets for all our states out there. Awful lot's been happening. Awful lot's been happening with our states. We need to really come together if we are ever going to slow down this what seems merciless attack to our pockets. Because every time that they call something a tax, somehow that makes it okay. Well, it's not okay. And I'm going to be reaching out to everybody today, from our actors and actresses to our Olympians, our athletes, our corporations and businesses. We need you. We need some strong voices out there. Some people who are willing to rise up and say, you know what? Mac is on to something. This guy is zeroed in in a positive way on what we can do to start getting back to accomplishment, what we should be talking about. Now let's take a minute and see what I can do here to zero in better. Just stop that for a minute. Let's put up a $100 billion breakdown for my economic talk. Let's zero in on that. Let's make sure we get that in there. Make sure everybody at home can read this. Remember, we started off with reducing taxes for everyone. From the single employee all the way up to the highest corporation. Everyone was included in on that. And those numbers you see next to those all referred to how many billion out of the 100 billion we would put into these areas to address them. Now let's just get that chart. Let's quickly get into the chart, because I did refer to how important that money, that overseas money, just what that could do for us, and just how easy it is. Let's take a good strong look at that. There's that money chart that I referred to. Let's back up just a touch. There's that money chart. Take a look at that red line, because that red line represents that foreign money that we need to get back into this country. And the last thing we want to do is be chasing more companies away. No, we need to strengthen up. Now we're going to take a trip. We're going to take a trip through the world today. We're going to talk about a lot of our foreign countries in areas where we should be talking about, areas of attention that haven't gotten enough. When all this is said and done, I want everybody to be country strong out there. Country strong now. That's what we got to do. Country strong. Let's quickly, I'm going to take just a few minutes. We're going to breeze right through this, because I don't want to spend too much time. I spent plenty on number 1 and 2. If you missed it, check it out. The Mac Plan Part 1, the Mac Plan Part 2. The little chip that recorded it split it in 2 on me. I did it in one shot. Let's just quickly talk about some of these items here, like that IRS one, because that involves not only the IRS, but we're also talking about our veterans at the same time. One individual They just went in and seized their money. Took it. $960,000. Took it. Now, they were forced. A forced struggle trying to get their money back. This isn't right. This isn't right at all. Matter of fact, it took them, I believe, a total of like $190,000 fighting to get their money back. They started off by wanting to take a third, for no reason at all, a third of their money. Well, they got lawyers involved, they started battling. They even got a judgment from the court that they had done nothing wrong, that was their money. And in the end, they still forced them to give up $50,000 that wasn't theirs to get the money released. And in total, with legal fees, it cost that veteran $90,000 or $170,000. Check out that story. That's a real story. That's just one story. Now, if that can happen to that veteran, that can happen to any one of us. Let's take a look at this. 18 million underemployed or unemployed. We've got to get people back to work. We've got to get things cooking here. Now, if you listen in on part 1 and 2, we're creating a tremendous amount of jobs. Tremendous. All right? We talked about water filtration. We talked about growing crops naturally. We talked about incentives that we were given to get all new businesses going, give them a break to get rolling. So a whole ton of businesses getting started. We've got the foreign money that we're reaching out to. We've got foreign companies that would be coming back to us, creating tremendous amount. I talked about affordable homes, which is going to create construction jobs, right? We need it. I'm a construction guy. I'm a master carpenter and builder. And I want all tradesmen out there standing up with me, because I'm not making 1 red cent doing this. I am just trying to get things accomplished before that election happens. We need to get this presented to the candidate. We need your help. So I'm reaching out to you, tradesmen. I am one of you. And we need you right now. Not sitting back, not getting involved. Get the word out. Help get the word out. We need you. We got to get this thing cooking. Separately, we talked about infrastructure. Well, infrastructure is on there, and it's important. We have roads, we have bridges falling apart, but that's always the case. As far as I'm concerned, infrastructure, that's standard playbook. We're always going to have infrastructure. Not a lot of jobs, new jobs, will get created from doing that. There will be some. That does help. But don't let them fool you. That's playbook. That's never going to change. We're always going to be talking about our infrastructure because we can't possibly put enough money at once to fix it all. So we're always going to be working on our infrastructure. And we will create a small amount of new jobs. But let's face it, those road companies, they already mostly have their employees. You got to think about things like that. Those piping companies, they're mostly all set. They need some more, but they're mostly all set. Let's not fool ourselves. That's not the answer to our job problems. We need a lot more than that. A whole lot more. Beyond that, let's touch on our attack on our Christian faith. Story after story after story I was able to capture. There's a few of them there for you. Just after the beginning of 2015, I stopped with the news board. That was just proving the point. But there were many that came after that as well. But runners crossing the finish line, raising their hand, thanking God, disqualified. Student wearing a cross around her neck on a college campus, forced to take it off. You know, we've got to stand up to this. We have got to stand up because we're always put in this minority position. Always. And we've got to end it. We've got to end it. Let's get our Merry Christmas back. And let's not back off on that. That is part of our culture. That is part of who we are as Americans. Let's cherish it. We have more than enough opportunity to have other days and other events for our other cultures. But let's not take away one of our biggest. It's wrong. Let's cherish it. Let's get our Merry Christmas going again. Let's stop on the White House for a minute. One of the biggest things coming out of that White House was silencing the media. That's got to end. Absolutely has to end. Okay? Reporters being forced out of the press pool. Whole companies being threatened that if they run a particular story, oh, they're not going to be included anymore. Oh, you don't get to go on the private bus. You don't get to go on that private plane. No, you got to go along. Now, we've got to end that. They need to be able to follow the stories, good or bad. And if you're a strong enough president, you can roll with it. Sometimes you just got to take one on the chin. But we need to stop that. We need to allow our press to have the right to run those stories. Let's jump down here. So important to jump on these taxes. If you really zero in on it, if you really look at it, they already lashed corporations and big business. That already happened. And then they were setting the stage to do more. Ones that probably haven't even kicked in yet. That was during this administration. So now we've got a candidate out there talking about how we're going to get our corporations to pay their fair share. They're already doing it. And that's the reason we're losing so many companies from the country. We don't want our jobs leaving. We want them coming back this way. We want the opportunity, and we appreciate the money that they put up for us. So let me just take a minute so everybody out there understands that we, as individuals, collectively, all of us together, are less than 3% of that money at the end of the year. That's right, less than 3%. The corporations and the businesses, they are driving us. They are giving us that money to do the things that we are doing. So, let us all rally. Let us all get up a minute for those companies. Because they themselves become the minority if we're not speaking out and we're not standing up for them. But Mac is standing here for them because Mac's not fooled at all. He knows exactly what's already happened, and all you have to do is look at it. You see, I'm dealing with facts. This entire thing is premised on facts. If you want to listen to their smoke and mirrors, you're going to be sadly disappointed. And if we don't get whoever goes into that White House in a positive direction for us, we might all find ourselves standing on a bread line. And I'm serious about that. A bread line. Really got to focus on that. We got to get the word out. Let's jump up here to the United Nations. Big thing that they did. They agreed to this arms trade treaty. And anybody out there, and I do mean anybody, who cares about the rights of gun ownership should be alarmed at that one. We need to revisit the arms trade treaty to make sure that they never drop their doors and come marching in on our shores and put us in a bad situation. We're fortunate that they don't have the strength or the military to do that, or a navy. But that doesn't mean that someday they won't. And someday they might not show up on our shores and start demanding it and put us in a terrible position. Because we don't want to give up our guns. A lot of people out there really believe in it, really want them, as do I. We need to revisit that one. Don't let them slip that one by. That one needs to be revisited. We got to get the candidates talking about it. Let's shoot on down here. 90% of Americans once they retire, lose their dental benefits. That's a huge number, and that's something we've got to start to focus on. Wow, 90%. So when these people need it the most, they don't have it. And how are we ever going to solve it if we don't have a good, strong leader up there focused on these things? Okay? And I don't just want to start here and talk of free this, free that. That's not gonna amuse me. What kind of group is being put together here? Because I'm not for big government. No, no, no. I believe that all the things that I've been discussing can be handled very easily through one office. That's right, one office. I'm not just up here talking about all these things. I'm willing to do it. I am willing to take on each and every one of those items you saw on my original board. Let's just bring that back for a moment. What happened to that? Let's just bring that back into focus for 1 minute. Remember that? How are we ever going to get these things accomplished? Is that going to be broken up into 47 different departments? 30,000 personnel to do it? No, absolutely not. That can be handled through one department, simultaneously, while taking on any and all new problems that face us. That's the kind of leadership that I'm talking about. And we need a part in it. Out of everything going on here, the greatest accomplishment we could make is to get one of us up on that table, to be a true voice for the people. Well, I am from the people and I am for the people, and I am willing to step up and play my part. And I am willing to do each and every one of those things simultaneously while taking on our new difficulties. Let's move on over to here. Let's talk about Congress for a minute. Well, we've been having an awful lot of negative, win at all cost mentality coming out of our Congress. And it's unacceptable. It's dirty politics. Now this guy right here, I'm not going to mention his name. No. You're going to have to do something good if you want to be honored by me. But one of their head people is one of these individuals. A win at all cost mentality. Now recently, before the DNC had their opportunity to kick off, we saw the big meltdown. We saw that whole huge embarrassment, how they were slanted, completely biased. And that candidate, Bernie, never stood a chance. We've got to end it. We've got to end this. The Democratic Party has been working against us, has been pushing divide. Ferguson, I reached out to you during that part 1 and 2. And I asked for your support. I asked for you to stand up and be strong out there to help get some of these things accomplished. It is absolutely imperative that we stop the divide. They started pushing it, and it's been spreading out from there ever since. We've got to be smart enough to realize exactly what they're doing. And I hope you're all smart enough out there. I hope you're going to stand and join me on this one. Let's be doing cartwheels over this thing, because it's wrong. We expect so much more from the people that are up there, and especially the ones that are really in charge. We've got to end it. We've got to spin this thing around. Our celebrities, actors, actresses, we need you. We need your support. We need some of you that are strong enough to stand up for us right now. Not after the election. Now. We need you now. Right? There's one right there. Mac didn't miss it. He was right there with you when that story came through. Okay? So, not only in my plan are you getting your taxes lowered, do you have more money in your pocket to work with? But I was also grabbing those hacking stories. I heard about that. We need your help now. We need your support. A lot of people look up to you. We need you. And beyond that, let's reach out to all athletes. First, let me say just how proud of our Olympians I was during these games. Incredible games. And I'm so proud to watch how many medals we were able to bring home. Unbelievably well. Unbelievably great job. But know this, I was not just with you when you were medaling. I was with you in your defeats as well. So please, join us now. Help us out. Get this word out. We need you. We need you. Athletes, I've already asked you to stand up. We've got to respect that national anthem. We've got to rally behind what's real. What really is pressing on us. Alright? And I cannot see the accomplishment in taking a knee during the national anthem. I don't see where that's solving anything. Let's get real topics on the table. Let's rally for something real. Let's rise up. Let's get this going now. And I want to hear every team out there, every national team out there behind this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it. We always support you. We rally for you. We spend a ton of money at the games just to see you. The least you can do is help us out in our time of need. We've got 45 days to work on this. We want to hear comments coming back out of our athletes. Did you hear the MAC plan? What do you think about it? What do you think about all these things we haven't been discussing? Let's get it to them. Let's get it going. Let's jump up here to the State Department. And this is one against Hillary. It needs to be said. When she was just leaving her office, the spokesperson stood up, live TV, and was asked a very simple question. Can you please share some of Hillary's accomplishments while she was at the State Department? Completely speechless. Completely speechless. Now they're going to say they came out the following day and tried to say a few little morsels. Please. That initial statement, that says a lot. That says a lot. And we need accomplishment. We need someone going up in here who's really going to accomplish. Now, Hillary, I've been reaching out to you too, but that had to be said because it is on the board. Let's look at that Department of Justice again. Now, I already mentioned once about our head of the Justice Department and how just incredibly terrible he handled himself.